Live from the studios at the University of Kansas, you are watching KUJH-TV News.
Does the definition of sex in the federal job protection laws include gender identity and sexual orientation? We'll hear what one Lawrence attorney thinks will happen at the Supreme Court.
And damage to a local pilot's airplane propelled a new lawsuit against the city. We have the latest on the airstrip maintenance complaint that's making its way to court.
Plus, renovations to the Lawrence Public Schools cause conflict with summer sports schedules. Find out how school staff plans to relocate these events. And welcome to KUJH News. I'm Malik Jackson.
And I'm Harold Johnson, and we are joined by Julie, and if she's at the top of the show, that must mean something big is going down in the weather.
Yes, we are under a flash flood warning right now, and there is more rain on the way with a severe thunderstorm and maybe even a little bit of hail. We have a very wet week ahead with lots of rain. We got about shy of an inch last night, so if you're woken up by the rain, lots of people were. And we have a wet week coming ahead with several more inches of rain expected tonight, into tomorrow, even into Wednesday. We do have a chance of a thunderstorm tonight into tomorrow. Tonight will not be severe, but tomorrow we could see a little bit of hail. And then a warm up finally coming this weekend as we'll get back up into the 70s and 80s. 67 degrees right now and mostly cloudy. Those clouds are thickening up as we're getting ready for some rain to move into the area. Here's a look at your clouds right now. As you can see, there are a ton of clouds in our area as they're moving through and bringing that storm system into our area. I'll have your full forecast coming up in just a bit and how much rain you can expect.
An airplane operator is suing the city of Lawrence over what they call maintenance issues at Lawrence Municipal Airport. Great Plains Inc. filed the lawsuit in Douglas County District Court, and it claims the city breached its contract with the company through lack of maintenance and proper care for the airport's tarmac. It alleges in the March of 2014, an airplane propeller was damaged from loose debris on the tarmac. Great Plains says they submitted a claim to the city for the aircraft's repairs, but didn't get a resolution. They are seeking $19,000 in damages, plus interest and legal fees. Great Plains began its land lease with the city in 1989. They say when there are breaches to the contract, it's frustrating to the purpose and the intent of the lease. The city of Lawrence has not yet filed a response to the suit.
If the U.S. Supreme Court votes to include trans and gay individuals under Title VII, the law will protect them from workplace discrimination. KUJH reporter Samantha Gilstrap says depending on how the court votes, this could be a huge step in LGBTQ+ rights.
KU queer rights group member Leo Niehoister-Cook says this is huge for the LGBTQ+ community. Leo says if the U.S. Supreme Court expands who is protected under Title VII, queer folk will no longer feel like second-class citizens.
Any discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is a discrimination on the basis of sex.
Title VII protects employees from sex discrimination. The Supreme Court will review 3 cases and ultimately decide if the definition of sex includes gender identity and sexual orientation.
Lawyer David Brown says we need to look at the definition of sex.
I would say that gender identity and sexual orientation are clearly revolving around issues of sex, and therefore the Civil Rights Act of 1964 would govern, and Title VII clearly should be interpreted to expand rights so that employees who are members of the LGBTQ community cannot just be summarily dismissed because of their gender identity or sexual orientation.
Brown says when the government wrote the statute in 1964, it never meant to expand its definition to cover LGBT rights. The Supreme Court has moved into a more conservative direction. In past years, Justice Anthony Kennedy helped pass legislation protecting the rights of gay individuals. The addition of the new justices Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch has changed the court's dynamic. In Lawrence, Samantha Gilstrap, KUJH News.
Many are afraid without Justice Anthony Kennedy, the U.S. Supreme Court will vote against the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. The 3 cases have yet to be decided by the court. Kansas-based federal judge got to see the other side of the system when police charged her with driving under the influence in Johnson County. 70-year-old Catherine Vratel sits on the U.S. District Court for the District of Kansas. The Chief Justice says they'll treat Vratel's arrest as a personal matter and won't make any other comments. She's currently free on a $1,000 bond.
Crimson and Blue holds on to the Student Senate for another year. This time, the Student Senate Coalition is bringing along new ideas for making on-campus parking more accommodating for students. KUJH reporter Erica Schumann is live outside Lot 90. Erica, what parking regulations does Crimson and Blue anticipate changing?
Crimson and Blue has two main objectives when it comes to parking next year for students. The first is to allow students working on-campus jobs to purchase parking permits at a lower rate. The second is to allow students to be able to park here in Lot 90 on Fridays without worrying about getting tickets. KU Parking and Transit reports an average income of $715,000 a year from citations and more than $2 million from permits. Allowing students to purchase parking permits at a discount could hurt those numbers. Director of KU Parking and Transit, Donna Holtein, says reducing permit prices for students working on-campus jobs stems from good intentions.
It's very, very hard to separate out when a student's at work and when a student's going to class. So effectively, it would become a permit. It would just be their parking permit. It wouldn't just be a work permit because you couldn't, they don't go home, take their car home, and then come back and go to class.
KU Parking and Transit reports Lot 90 is where students receive the most parking tickets on campus. Crimson and Blue wants to reduce that number by enforcing no ticketing there on Fridays. Inspiration for the ticketless option comes from the decreased need for parking on campus on the last day of the week. Crimson and Blue's current chief of staff and 2019 campaign manager, Zach Thomas, says he wants to see these changes in their upcoming term.
Anything can happen, and the good news is that the bottom line we've gotten from Parking and Transit is that
KU Parking and Transit is 100% self-supported. This means that all their revenue goes to fund things like employee salaries, cleaning up the lots, and removing snow during the winter. They say that they look forward to working with Student Senate further next year to help benefit not only students, but their department. Live from Lot 90, Erica Schumann, KUJH News.
Renovations to Lawrence Public Schools will continue this summer and may hurt summer sports schedules. The $87 million project began in 2017 and includes $50 million in improvements to Lawrence High School. Those renovations will begin at the end of the school year and finish in August of 2021. Construction at Free State began in January and the district says it will finish in August. They say they realize this will interfere with few summer sports programs.
It does have an impact on availability of the weight rooms and gymnasium space potentially, but again, we've been working with our staff and have plans in place, for all activities that might have taken place in those buildings over the summer will be relocated to other locations.
Athletic fields at Lawrence High West and Liberty Memorial Central are closing for the summer. Those practices will be relocating to other schools.
The Lawrence Arts Center is requesting city leaders move forward with an agreement so they can purchase some neighboring Salvation Army property. The Arts Center is currently using that outdoor space as a playground and learning area for children. The center's plan is to also use the grounds for public art exhibitions, theatrical productions, and other artistic opportunities. The original 2012 city agreement lets them give tax money to our hub. The Arts Center CEO says she's not worried about the timeline.
If they authorize the TIF money, we'll have it'll set forth the ball rolling towards new agreements with deadlines that people can make. All parties are ready to move forward.
Morris says the next move is for the City Commission and the Development Group to clarify, then update the agreement.
Always good to see those things kind of happen. Have you ever been there?
Absolutely. Yes, I actually have. I was just there this past week crewing for the UDC.
It's a very, very beautiful place to go.
Absolutely.
So still to come on KUJH News, a man walks out of a New York art gallery in broad daylight with $16,000 sculpture, and surveillance video caught it all.
And how many false statements has the president made during his tenure? One prominent newspaper has been keeping track. Stay with us.
patience. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
The California rabbi who survived the shooting on the holiest Jewish celebration of the year is speaking out. He's paying tribute to the woman who saved his life after a man rushed to their synagogue Saturday and opened fire. Rick Damagella has more, including reaction from the little girl who also survived the gunfire.
We are a Jewish nation that will stand tall.
A community standing together in solidarity and in mourning after Passover celebrations at a synagogue in Poway, California, ended in gunfire on Saturday. One was killed and 3 others wounded, including Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein.
More shots came running right at me, and I lifted up my hands. I lost my index finger on this hand after 4 hours of surgery.
The suspect, identified by police as 19-year-old John Ernest, is in custody. The rabbi's life saved by a member of the congregation, Lori Kay.
Lori took the bullet for all of us. She died to protect all of us. She didn't deserve to die. She's such a kind, sweet-hearted, just a good human being.
At the service to say a prayer for her mother, who passed away in November, witnesses say she was killed when she stepped between the gunman and the rabbi. 2 others were wounded and are expected to recover. Almog Peretz was trying to protect his niece, 9-year-old Noya Dahan, when they were both injured.
When it was like gushing blood, I didn't even feel it. And then after they wiped it, and then the blood was off, and it was it felt like I had the giantest bruise ever. It was just hurting bad.
I'm Rick Damagella reporting.
The man under arrest is a student at Cal State San Marcos, a university in northern San Diego County.
And let's take a quick look at news from across the nation. The Washington Post says President Trump made more than 10,000 false or misleading statements since his inauguration. Washington Post fact checker Glenn Kessler tracked what he calls Trump's false claims and says the president has averaged 23 incorrect statements a day over 7 months. Kessler says misstatements range from immigration issues to the Mueller probe and Trump's accomplishments. Police say a thief left a New York art gallery with $16,000 in his sticky-fingered left hand. They say 61-year-old took a sculpture from the gallery and walked out the front door in broad daylight. The stolen art looks like a shopping basket and is made of both gold and silver. Authorities arrested a man and have since charged him with theft. And New York-based Spotify members list is now 8 digits long. More than 100 million people are paying to use the premium version of the music streaming service Spotify, also launched in India this year and gained 2 million more users. It says it's expected to double its users by the end of this year based on its current rates. Spotify says their subscribers also get benefits from Google, Samsung, and Hulu. Very cool for them. And that's your look at news from across the nation.
I'm definitely one of those proud participants in Spotify's numbers. But one thing I'm not going to be a proud participant of is this flash flood warning. As soon as we get done with this, I'm out of here.
Yes, we are under a flash flood warning, and there is more rain on the way. I'll have your full forecast coming up just next. Stay with us.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Are you
good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Jessica, we need to leave right now.
I need to get something. Dance recitals are so boring.
There's a meaning no one knows. Wait until we set
So
free.
what's the empty suitcase for?
The grand prize trophy.
Duh.
Confidence. Pass it on.
I was born to be somebody.
Kansas are reporting sightings of a dangerous pest that doctors are calling kissing bugs. They got their name because they crawl around the mouth and eyes, biting people in their sleep. The insects spread a disease-carrying parasite when it defecates on those faces while feeding on their blood, which can result Chagas disease, which can destroy nerves in the heart, esophagus, and colon. One infectious disease specialist says though the bugs have arrived in the sunflower state, he's not seen any sick people who've gotten the disease.
The cases of Chagas that I've seen have been cases that have been primarily imported. I've not seen anybody here I've not seen anyone in Kansas who's acquired the infection locally.
Moore says using pesticides, sealing off windows, and cleaning your house can help keep the bad bugs away from your home.
Spring has arrived, and it takes more than just April showers to make May flowers. KUJH reporter Emily Natwick is live in Lawrence. Emily, how important are honeybees in our lives?
Beautiful bouquets of flowers like these are one of the more obvious reasons we rely on bumblebees. But a National Food and Agricultural Organization reported that a whopping 75% of crops producing fruits and seeds rely on honeybees.
Local bee store employee and beekeeper says the bee crisis is something he and the community don't understand.
They've never really officially identified the colony collapse or the cause or a certain virus or parasite or anything. It is definitely a lot more of a struggle now to keep bees and keep them healthy and alive than it was, before, especially through the winter.
The National Agricultural Statistics Services says a 15% increase of colony collapses took place in 2018 compared to the previous year. And beekeepers are continuing to do what they can to preserve their hives. The president of the KU Beekeeping Club says his goal is to educate people about the bee population crisis. He says the easiest way for us to help is to not kill bees while they're working.
I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, is that like when bees are out pollinating, they have literally zero interest in people. They're honed in on one specific thing.
Murray says practical steps for preserving our pollinators are to avoid buying food grown with the use of pesticides, and if you have a beehive on your property, to not knock it down but call a beekeeper and have it removed.
But what's cool is that humans really have become a lot more sensitive to bees, and bees are popular now. People used to call us when they had a swarm of bees and say, hey, can you come kill these bees? And now everybody who calls now, they call and say, first thing they say is, I don't want to kill them.
Schwager says with beekeeping becoming more popular, they're hoping to see the numbers in the bee population rise. We had a windy and warmer weekend, but now the clouds are here and the rain is about to begin. We're currently under a flash flood warning, and that is going to last until Wednesday morning. It's 67 degrees right now and mostly cloudy. Those clouds are going to continue through the rest of the evening as we move into the overnight hours, but then the rain is going to begin. It's probably going to begin around 8 p.m. and we're going to see some light showers, and that's going to increase as we move into the overnight hours, and that rain is going to get a little bit heavier. Tonight showers will start after 8 p.m. You might hear a clap or two of thunder, but it's going to be nothing severe this evening. But I can't say the same thing for Tuesday. We're going to have thunderstorms starting probably around 11 a.m. It's going to be light starting off in the early morning, and then we're going to see them progress as we move into the afternoon, evening. We're looking at about 100% chance of rain tomorrow, so it is going to be a wet day. We're looking at getting around 2 to 3 more inches of precipitation over Tuesday and Wednesday to add to the already 1 inch that we got last night when that storm rolled through. Tomorrow night, we'll also see those thunderstorms continue. You might have a little bit of clearing around 2 to 3 p.m., and then after that, it's going to ramp back up for some thunderstorms. And then later on into the evening and overnight hours, it's going to switch into isolated thunderstorms. So they're going to be few and far between and not as severe as we're seeing. But again, we'll be at 100% chance of rain. So it is going to be very wet tomorrow. If you're going out, you're going to need to bring an umbrella with you. Here's a look at the weather pattern. As you can see, this is us tonight. We're already in the green tonight. So we're going to start seeing that rain develop around 8 p.m. It's going to be drizzles as it increases. By 7 a.m. tomorrow, you can see that that front is right over us, driving that wet weather into our area. We're already in the darker green, so we're going to see that rain starting to increase from tonight into tomorrow morning. Severe weather gets here tomorrow around the evening hours. As you can see, we're in the red. Here is 8 p.m. tonight. We're just going to increase with the wet weather as we move, and then here 11 a.m. tomorrow is when we're really looking at nailing down that severe weather. That severe weather is going to last until around 11 p.m. as we'll move into some more rain moving into Wednesday. And Wednesday, you're just going to see rain most of the day into the afternoon and evening hours. So it's going to be a really wet week. As you can see, lots of rain, and our temperatures are going to hang out into the 60s and 70s. Finally, by Saturday, you'll be back into the 70s at 78 degrees, and that's mainly going to be our only day of sunny skies. Back to some wet weather on Sunday and Monday to start your work week. Back to you.
Well, Jose, I heard it wasn't that good of a draft for KU this year.
No, but a few players got in. KU did not have any players get their name called, but 7 former Jayhawks are headed to the NFL by way of camp invitation or signing a free agent contract. I will tell you who will be playing professionally next season after the break.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun. Some more. What's he doing?
Please, sir, I want some more.
More? He has asked for more!
Thank you.
Well, he did say please.
Yes, he did. And thank you.
Please and thank you. Pass it on.
Thank you.
6 Jayhawks signed free agent contracts with NFL teams this weekend. This year's senior class may have only tallied 6 victories under former head coach David Beatty, but many leave Kansas with many incredible moments. The mayor and fan favorite linebacker Joe Deneen is now a Denver Bronco. The former Free State High School star shined in the crimson and blue, totaling 386 tackles in 4 years. He is the all-time leader in career tackles for loss and led the FBS in solo tackles per game this past season. Broncos linebackers coach Reggie Herring called Deneen seconds after the draft and gave him the offer. Right guard Dwayne Wallace signed with the Steelers. The Cal Berkeley transfer started 10 games this season and played a prominent role in the team's rushing game. Wide receiver Steven Sims Jr. signed with the Washington Redskins. He caught 214 passes and hauled in 19 touchdown receptions in his career as a Jayhawk. In 2016, he hauled in a career-high 233 yards in a game against K-State. Long snapper John Wordle is headed back to his home state to play for the Chicago Bears. The team's only 6-year senior played in 58 games at Kansas. Cornerback Shaquille Taylor signed with the Indianapolis Colts. The Mesa Community College transfer made 46 tackles in his 2 years at KU. He caught 3 interceptions and returned 1 for a score in the team's first road win since 2009. Last season, Taylor helped the Jayhawks defense finish second among FBS programs in turnover differential. Defensive tackle Daniel Wise is going to be playing with the Dallas Cowboys alongside former KU defensive end Dorrance Armstrong. Wise was a quarterback's worst nightmare. He finished his career with 151 tackles and 18.5 sacks. He was a team captain for the past 2 seasons and was named first team All Big 12 this season. In addition to 6 Jayhawks signing undrafted free agent contracts, graduate transfer Maven Saunders was invited to minicamp with the Cleveland Browns. The tight end caught his first touchdown pass against West Virginia. Congratulations to the 6 Jayhawks signing free agent contracts and to Saunders getting an invite to the Browns camp. Coming off a trip to the AFC Championship, the Kansas City Chiefs are looking at building on last year's success. They traded 3 draft picks to the Seattle Seahawks for Frank Clark. In the second round, they chose wide receiver McCole Hardman. It looks like the Chiefs are going to look for the former Georgia Bulldog to replace Tyreek Hill. The next area of focus for the Chiefs in this year's draft focuses on the defense. They selected defensive back Juwan Thornhill out of Virginia. He led the Cavaliers in total tackles last season with 98. Also, Kansas City picked up defensive tackle Kaleem Saunders from Western Illinois. He had 7.5 sacks in 2018. The Chiefs had a good draft, but the biggest moves defensively have come in the offseason with the additions of Alex Okafor, Emmanuel Ogbah, and Tyrann Mathieu. 2 former Washburn football players were victims of an on-campus shooting early Sunday morning. A junior from Lee Summit, Dwayne Simmons, was killed and his teammate Corey Ballantyne was injured from the shooting. Simmons had been playing for the Ichabod since 2015 as a defensive back. Ballantyne was drafted by the New York Giants in the 6th round the night before the shooting. His injuries are not life-threatening and he is expected to make a full recovery. The shooting is still under investigation. What's next?
Thank you so much for that, Jose. So still to come on KUJH News. Police officer by day and hip-hop artist by night. How this Baltimore officer is using hip-hop to spread a positive message on law enforcement. Stay with us.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Mainstream rap isn't known for portraying cops in a positive light, but one Baltimore police officer is now using rap music to flip the script on police.
Through these lanes and I'm swerving, saving kids from these hearses, saving kids from these hearses.
Officer Joshua Jackson is using his love of rapping to spread positivity about law enforcement under the rap persona Saint. Jackson writes positive rap hoping to change minds and save lives. Saint's lyrics are born out of tragedies that he witnessed as an officer with the Baltimore Police Department. He says he wants to show the kids of Baltimore they can make a difference.
So they know that you don't necessarily have to turn to a gun.
That's a beautiful thing to do, you know. I like that term, flipping the script.
Absolutely. I always like when people use music for a positive message. So much hate in the world these days.
Using their platform for the good reason.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that's KUJH News for Monday, April 29th.
To view our stories again or share them with your friends, visit our website at tv.ku.edu.
And check us out next newscast Wednesday at 4 p.m. for the latest news, weather, and sports.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.